Hello, everyone. Uh, you can hear me. Thank you very much. So I know that we have some limited time, so I'll try to be as fast as I can. So my name is Petras Katinas, and I'm the representative of the Research Center on Clean Energy and Air, which it was established in Finland, but I'm from Lithuania, the second most uh, not friendly country in Europe regarding exports to Russia. So basically what we have and what I have in my presentation, we have in Korea Russian fossil tracker, which the main aim of the tracker is to track Russia fossil fuel and its exports worldwide. Sorry, it somehow doesn't. That's fine. Okay, so the first numbers are, well, basically our fossil tracker starts counting Russia's fossil fuel exports since the full-scale invasion started. So since the full-scale invasion, Russia received 554 billion euros for its fossil fuels, mainly for crude oil, gas, natural gas, and at some point coal. While at the same moment, the European Union, since the full-scale invasion, paid to Russia 182 billion, mainly as well for crude oil, gas, and coal. I want to say, actually, some situation has changed since the sanctions were imposed, because European Union imposed embargo on oil. So the situation slightly changed. We basically today released a new output which says that impact of sanctions helped decrease Russia's revenues by 34 billion euros. I'm sorry that I'm not presenting this, but we released just this morning. So if you want, I can later share with you. I took as well. I want to emphasize that this is not our data, but I took this data from Kiel Institute of the World Economy sanctions tracker. So since the beginning of full-scale invasion, the global commitment to Ukraine was 237 billion. So basically, on the one hand, we are helping Ukraine. On the other hand, we are helping more to Russia. Unfortunately, this is a sad thing to say. Why it's basically very important for Russia fossil fuels, because historically fossil fuel was helping to decrease budget deficit. So around 40% historically was the revenues was coming from fossil fuel. Now, during the first 10 months, actually, the number of fossil fuels, the percentages of fossil fuels a bit different because only 30% now forms Russia budget compared to 70% from non-fossil fuels. However, it's still a big gap for improvement, a big gap for improvement. The largest importers of Russian fossil fuels, it's of course, it's not very surprisingly, this is China and India, mainly around 60%, both countries, 40% usually, monthly average is between 40 to 45% of fossil fuels goes to China, and around 20% of Russian fossil fuels goes to India. Both countries are mainly purchasing crude oil and oil products. I will speak about loopholes a little bit later, so I'll stop myself here. European Union, despite that they imposed embargo, however, there is still no sanctions on fossil gas or natural gas and LNG. If not because of the European Union, the EU dependency on gas decreased around by 40%. However, since the beginning of war, the LNG import to the EU from Russia actually has been increasing for a while. Mainly, a few countries are buying. I will talk a little bit later about this issue as well. and other countries such as Turkey and sometimes now Brazil is our latest data says that Brazil was the fifth largest importing country in the world. Yes, and speaking about the gas, one thing which I want to emphasize that the EU almost didn't do anything. This was because Putin decided to blackmail the EU, not because the bold decisions of the EU. And mainly LNG, I won't mention companies, but the main importers are Belgium, France, and Spain. And one of the reasons which we trying to analyze are transshipments, which basically some companies in Belgium, some companies in France, they are doing. The latest data in November says that around 30% was transshipped from France to the world globally, basically to markets in Asia. One of the things which I'm probably proud of, and this is on the one hand, this analysis was made, I think, on time, but this is the sad thing that the EU that Russia continues to rely on EU and G7 insurance and vessels. When we start, well, first of all, I want to say that how we define shadow tankers. You all probably hear that shadow tankers are basically helping to export Russia's crude oil or oil product worldwide. So when we started doing analysis, around 50% of crude was shipped by shadow tankers. The latest data in November says that 65% already 65% of crude oil is shipped by tankers, by so-called shadow tankers. How we define shadow tankers? This is the tankers basically who are exporting Russian crude oil or oil products and insured or owned by the countries outside the price cap coalition countries. So basically non-EU, non-G7 countries. So basically, if it comes to oil products, we see that around 62% of Russian oil products are shipped by the vessels which somehow related to EU or G7 countries, which shows that there is a huge place for improvement. And the main thing is that there is no enforcement and proper monitor for these sanctions, and it allows to circumvent sanctions for Russia and make life easier. I already mentioned about our latest output, which was released early morning today, and we basically create a model which basically we're using pro rata principle, which says that since the sanction beginning, from the EU imported an estimate around 6.5 billion of all products refined from Russia crude, which was refined in other countries in so-called that we basically named laundromat countries. And this is another situation which actually happened when it started right before the full-scale invasion started, and has been happening since then. That countries such as China, India, Turkey, they import Russian fossil fuel, refine that, and then send to the EU or Australia. It depends on countries where are located countries. For example, India, basically they are sending diesel and basically diesel they're sending to Europe. And the saddest thing is that they have two refineries. One of the refineries are basically 49% of share belong to Rosneft, which the owner, the CEO is Igor Sechin, which is closely related to Vladimir Putin. Well, they are basically cronies, and I assume they're quite good friends. So yes, so this is basically another loophole which is the place for huge improvement. The latest sad founding is that Bulgaria is the fourth largest importer of seaborne Russian crude oil in this year. In Bulgaria is located Lukoil, Lukoil's refinery. And if we look at the numbers before the war, before the full-scale invasion, only 70% of crude oil were shipped from Russia. After the full-scale invasion, it's almost more than 90%. 90%. The country which basically said that we are in the European Union. And imports of Russian crude oil accounted 1.1 billion and sent to other destinations worldwide and in the EU as well, valued at almost 1 billion as well. So this is the newest. It's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks research, which was presented earlier. The other important basically topic and a way for improvement, this is so-called ship-to-ship transfers. I already mentioned like transfers in LNG, but there are a huge STS transfers in, especially when it comes to crude oil and oil products, which basically increased by 54%. Basically, this is the impact of longer logistical routes, because Russia, the main around 40% of Russian exports goes from the ports in the Baltic Sea, and the main location for STS are in Greece, Spain, and Romania. I also wanted to mention Kerch Strait, which soon to be once again Ukrainian part, but near Kerch Strait is as well a lot of happening STS. And last but not least, we all speak about price on Urals and how basically it's important to slash revenues from Urals. However, I want to mention ESPO blend, which in exports is around 40% of total crude oil which is exported. And ESPO was never below the price cap. It was always between 70 to 80 USD per barrels. So if Russia revenues, if the price cap would set by 30 USD dollars, which is still above the production cost, Russian revenues could have been slashed by 59 billion euros. So I know that we have limited time, so I try to be very consistent. Thank you very much. Yeah.